I have my block in the lance lathe, and I have a center punch mark where I'm going to, in the center of the mass, to do the boring. I used a wiggler in the drill chuck, and when it's off center it will wobble, and I just put an indicator against it, and I'm within 1/1000th so I've dialed in, and so we're going to call that good, and we're going to drill, and then we're going to bore it to the two sizes. Well, I'll drill it to be underneath the small size, obviously. I'll bore it to that size, and then I'm going to come back and bore the big end of it. Or I'll drill it, bore the big end, and then bore the little end. Yeah. Well, I forgot to hit record. Anyway, I drilled a hole all the way through it. 47/64. Went well. Small end diameter is 1 inch 42 thousandths. So we're going to drill it to 1 inch. Now this is the biggest drill I have, 1 inch and 5/32. So I'm going to drill this one in there 2 3/4 inches, and then we don't have to bore as much to the 1 inch. Now, following the rule with using the largest boring bar that you can get in the hole, I'm going to go to my Bokum boring bar set. These things work great. I've added to it and have a pretty nice set here now. And we're going to go with the largest one that will fit, and that's this one right here. This is a number 7, and we're going to use this head. They just thread right on, and we'll tighten that up after we get it clamped in place. A hex key will fit right in there. There you go. That's the one we're going to use. Boring head. I actually resharpened myself with my jig on the surface grinder. Be sure to watch a video I did on sharpening these and about the Bokum boring bars. A fella at Bokum saw my video and actually contacted me. Very cool. Well, I get all set up here. Then I think about it. I've got to be able to measure that bore back in there, and it's as long as my finger is back in there. And this is the only telescopic gauge that I have that will work here. This handle is so short that I cannot operate it that far back in there, even though it sticks out here, but I can't get it in there enough and operate it. So change of plans. I'm going to bore this end to size, and my ends are parallel. They're nice and parallel, so that's good. Then we'll flip it over and realign it on the other end, and then bore the small end. That's the only way I can do it. I need to get some long handle ones. Those would be nice for things like this. But anyway, I cannot get in there and operate it. I tried all sorts of ways. I went up to a size 8 boring bar, so it's a little bit bigger head. Not much, but just a little bit. But I have a short shank for this one, so it makes it kind of nice and compact. I'll show you how it... This is how you tighten them onto the boring bar there, since it's threaded on, right? put the head on the boring bar. In the center is a hex hole. And this one's a 6mm hex. So you just thread it on, give it a snug after you have it in here a little bit. Do this before you align it, of course. Now the forces are down and it's in the tightening directions. It has to be tight, but don't get super anxious on it. Now this is a number 8 size boring bar. Get the angle set for the cutting edge. I'm going to adjust the height. All we have to do is go in about 3/4 of an inch, really. I'm going to go in the depth of the boring head here, which is about 1.5 inches. That gives me a nice break line to stop. Very, very nice finish. Just beautiful finish. Now this is just a high-speed steel boring head, not carbide. Smooth as a baby's butt there. 16149. I missed it by 1/2 10,000ths. 1/2 10,000ths, I think, yeah. I wanted 615. Well, maybe I'm right on the money. Maybe 1/2 10,000ths over. Close enough. The large part of the chuck needs to sit in this. This is only going to be about half of that, but it needs to be able to sit in there right. So that is just perfect. Just nice fit. Before I take this out, I want to do as much as I can that is relationship to the large radius that we'll be using here. And right on this end, the large end, there's a cam. Now this protrudes from the end about a quarter of an inch. So I need to make that boss on the end of here right now, and then we'll be able to cut that into the cam angle. So the inside of this cam is 1.76, and yeah, it's just roughly right there. Just a little bit. It's not much. So we're just going to come in and we're going to cut the face in to that inside radius, and then we'll come on out here and cut up to the outside radius or diameter of the cam. Well, I just noticed something. I just checked it. The bore is right on the money as far as concentric to the axis of the shaft, but for some reason I didn't notice it when I was aligning, and I moved away a little bit on the chuck. Now both of these ends were nice and perfectly parallel, but now they're not. But I bored it to the off, with it a little off. I didn't notice that for sure there before. It's not loose or anything. So I'm going to face this again. I want to keep everything concentric, so I'll face this again, which is no big deal. I have plenty of length. I have a little about half an inch extra length on this, so it's not an issue. So we're going to face that, and then we're going to make our boss. Now I got to face. Now we'll do our boss. Just enough to get a measurement first. Okay, well, we're good. Right on the money. Now we're going to face into the outside diameter. I just used a small Bokum boring bar here. This is a number 5 size with a short shank. So we're going to be out there about right there, roughly. That just gives me an idea how far out I need to be. This land is, a little more than 1/8 of an inch, I think it was. put a mark on there for roughing. We're going to rough in the diameter more now. We're only about 10 thousandths left on the depth. Now, these inner and outer diameter aren't super critical, so that's why I'm just using a caliper, because it's quick and easy. I usually never use calipers, but this is pretty quick and easy this way. Got to turn the camera on for the final cut there. Only about 30 thousandths cut, so yeah, that's good. We're about 2 over. 1.5 over. That's fine. Now we'll do another light face cut for the depth. We're gonna measure here until we get them relatively even. All right, so I'm 264 on the inside. And I'm 252 out here, so 12 thousandths. I'll take off another 12 out here, so we're pretty even, even though that 12 thousandths really not going to matter. $15. So I'm a 65 and 64 on the inside. So that's just fine. That gives us a little bit extra here, so when we make our cuts, we'll end up hopefully just right. All right, popped it out of there. You can see the bores we have here. So, and the boss came out very nice on this end so far. Now, all that middle section, all this is going to be milled away. It's a lot to leave here. Anyway, we're going to flip it around, put her back in. We'll dial up on the bore here, and keep this flat against the back. It shouldn't be an issue. No. And make sure we stay flat this time. And we're going to bore this to size. And that's the only feature on this end, is just boring this to the right size.